We've got Congressman Brad Wenstrup, who's a member of the Ways and Means Committee, coming up. But let's get right to congressional correspondent Chad Pergram, live on Capitol Hill. And Chad, what did Hunter allegedly lie about?
Well, John, good afternoon. Mainly how he may have been involved in peddling influence. It took a lot to get Hunter Biden to take questions from congressional investigators over the winter on this, but the GOP alleges he did not tell the truth when he did appear. Listen.
Hunter Biden lied 3 times to congressional investigators, which is a crime. And he did it to conceal the fact that his family was profiting millions of dollars from communist Chinese or Ukrainian companies to line their own pockets.
There are 3 main areas where the panel takes issue with Hunter's answers. Republicans say Hunter mischaracterized his role with the Biden-related firm Rosemont Seneca. In particular, the GOP says Hunter controlled certain accounts there. He testified he did not. Secondly, Hunter may have helped a foreign national get a visa, but in fact he had. The committee says there are emails from Devon Archer which prove otherwise. Archer was the business partner of Hunter Biden. And finally, Hunter Biden says he spoke with a Raymond Zhao. In the deposition, Hunter says he sent a text to the wrong Zhao when he was on drugs. However, records show that Hunter spoke to Zhao. Zhao is connected with a major Chinese energy company. Now, Committee Chairman Jason Smith says these documents prove Congress does not have a vendetta against Hunter. Smith also says the DOJ prosecuted other cases when witnesses lied to Congress. John?
All right, Chad Pergram with the latest on that. Chad, thank you so much.
Well, House lawmakers will soon get a chance to press Dr. Anthony Fauci's right-hand man after an investigation revealed that he once bragged about how to make emails related to the COVID pandemic, quote, disappear. Dr. David Morens is accused of deliberately obstructing the subcommittee's investigation of the origins of the virus to protect his longtime colleague. We're going to speak with the head of the subcommittee, Congressman Brad Wenstrup, before this high-stakes hearing gets underway. We're also going to get reaction from Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who's now demanding that Biden's DOJ step into this matter. But first, to senior national correspondent Rich Edson. He is live on Capitol Hill. So, Rich, the committee has just released more information showing that Morens tried to hide emails from the public.
Good afternoon, Aisha. That's right. The committee has emails showing that Morens was pretty confident that you could hide communications from the public. Those communications are now public. Morens, in an email that he sent April of 2021 to Peter Daszak, the president of EcoHealth Alliance, he writes, quote, I can either send stuff to Tony on his private Gmail or hand it to him at work or at his house. He is too smart to let colleagues send him stuff that could cause trouble. The Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic subpoenaed Morens, formerly a top advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci at the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, to appear at a hearing this afternoon scheduled for 3:30. Aides say Morens worked to help Daszak restore government funding to EcoHealth Alliance after the Trump administration suspended it. EcoHealth was spending government grant money on experiments at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. In another email later that year, Morens writes, quote, mine was erased long ago. I verified that today, and I feel pretty sure Tony's was too. The best way to avoid FOIA hassles is to delete all emails when you learn a subject is getting sensitive. FOIA is the law that entitles the public to see their government's records. A committee aide says Morens has submitted no opening statement for today's hearing. There's no expectation he'll give one. Fauci's scheduled to testify next week. Daszak testified a few weeks ago. Then last week, the Department of Health and Human Services suspended his nonprofit, EcoHealth Alliance, from receiving more government money, largely for failing to monitor experiments in China and report information to the government. Today, HHS revealed it has begun the same process against Daszak from receiving any government grants going forward. Back to you, Aisha.
All right, Rich Edson live on Capitol Hill. Thanks, Rich.
All right, for more on this and the Hunter Biden news, let's bring in Ohio Republican Congressman Brad Wenstrup. He's the chairman of the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus. We'll get to that in just a second, Congressman. But first of all, I want your thoughts on Hunter Biden. Let me put it up on the screen. This is what the committee chairman is accusing him of lying of. When he said, I sent the text to the wrong Zhao. Lie number 2, neither of these accounts, these were Rosemont Seneca accounts, were under Hunter's control. Apparently, there's contradictory evidence to that. And lie number 3, I'd never pick up the phone and call anybody for a visa. Contradictory evidence to that as well. What do you believe, Congressman, needs to happen here?
Well, I think that you have to present the contradictory evidence, right? And that's really what we had decided to do today. And the Department of Justice now has a responsibility, which they've taken on before with other people that have lied to Congress. That is an offense. And if people are allowed to lie to Congress, we have a real problem within our government. And so we need to have this process move forward, to look into it more completely, to take the evidence in mind and decide whether Hunter Biden lied to Congress or not.
So as part of this, are you making a criminal referral to the DOJ?
Well, essentially that's what it is, because it is a crime to lie to Congress. It's actually a felony. And so DOJ has now the responsibility of looking into this and deciding where they want to take it from there. And I hope they see it all the way through to fruition.
All right, so let's talk about this big hearing this afternoon, the Committee on COVID Pandemic, which you chair. Dr. David Morens is going to be a key witness here. You have evidence that he has bragged about the ability to cover up smoking gun emails and keep them away from FOIA inquiries. Congressman James Comer read from one of Morens' emails. Listen to what he said.
I learned from our FOIA lady here how to make emails disappear after I am FOIA'd, but before the search starts. So I think we are all safe. Plus, I deleted most of those earlier emails after sending them to Gmail. We are all smart enough to know to never have smoking guns, and if we did, we wouldn't put them in emails. And if we found them, we would delete them.
Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis says that Morens lied to Congress. There seems to be an epidemic of that today. What do you say about this, and what do you want to hear from him?
Well, I will tell you that we had a transcribed interview already with Dr. Morens, and a lot of this started with what Jamie Comer was talking about, which is where he went out and said that, hey, put things on my Gmail so that I don't get FOIA'd. Well, we got his Gmails too. And there's a lot of contradictions here, John, where he says one thing in the transcribed interview, but the documents say otherwise. I mean, for example, he said that in the transcribed interview that he never discussed the EcoHealth Alliance or the WIV, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, with Dr. Fauci. He did. He also said that he never spoke about official things on his Gmail. It was just friendly things. Well, he actually did do that. He also said that he did not help Dr. Daszak try and get his grant reinstated after the Trump administration put a pause on it. Well, he actually did. You know, and all this is going on during the pandemic at a time when we should be focusing, laser focus on cures and a better path forward. And instead, it's all about covering up actions that were taking place within the institution. And the question is, did Dr. Fauci know about this? Did Dr. Collins know about this? We really need to get to the answers to all of that.
I just want to quickly read one of the emails that the subcommittee obtained. This is Dr. Morens to Peter Daszak saying, quote, as you know, I try to always communicate on Gmail because my NIH email is FOIA'd constantly. Don't worry, just send to any of my addresses and I will delete anything I don't want to see in the New York Times. Sounds like a bit of a smoking gun there. There's another big issue, too. Earlier this year, Anthony Fauci suggested that the 6-foot distancing guidelines for COVID, quote, sort of just appeared. Apparently, the NIH director, Francis Collins, was saying the same thing and just released testimony to the committee. The question, do you recall science or evidence that supported the 6 feet distance? Collins, I do not. Question, is it that I do not recall or I do not see any evidence supporting 6 feet? Collins, I did not see evidence, but I'm not sure I would have been shown evidence at that point. Question, since then, it has been an awfully large topic. Have you seen any evidence since then supporting 6 feet? Collins, no. It looks like the NIH was making this up as it went along. How much does all of this damage the NIH's credibility?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you can't be open and honest about these things at the very beginning and you just make them up and say that this is what we should do, people lose their trust in public health, and I think we have to do a large revamping in public health if that's going to be regained again. You know what we did find out through this thing? I'll tell you who was suggesting 6 feet. The teachers union. The teachers union was telling the Biden administration they wanted 6 feet. Well, that's interesting. They had no science behind it either, but that would have made it impossible for them to open up their classes. And one of the things that they said in their internal notes was that we need a trigger to close the schools. So there you have it. Put it all together, and you see who's making decisions today.
Yeah, as we know, so many school districts said that they couldn't comply with the 6-foot distancing guidelines, and so they stayed closed. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us ahead of the hearing. We look forward to what it has to offer later on this afternoon. Appreciate it.